Hi guys, so Liz Truss delivered a completely unhinged speech to an audience at the newly formed PopCon group. PopCon stands for Popular Conservatism. However, I'm not sure how popular it is considering that Liz Truss has the lowest positive ratings of any Prime Minister in living memory. And this includes Boris Johnson just before he resigned and Theresa May. It also includes Lee Anderson, who is almost guaranteed to lose his seat at the next general election. Perhaps it's populism and not popular. Although that wouldn't work either, as one of the people invited to the event is a multimillionaire property developer, which isn't exactly grassroots activism. Anyway, Liz claimed that the left are trying to take away her and Conservative platforms, and she cited Steve Bray as an example. Completely unhinged. Have a listen to this.
Now, Britain is full of secret Conservatives, people who agree with us but don't want to admit it because they think it's not acceptable in their place of work, it's not acceptable at their school. And people who are prepared to put their heads above the parapet and come out and stand as Conservative candidates, make Conservative arguments, are vitally important. So this organisation is not just about the members of Parliament. It's not just about the parliamentary candidates. It's actually about all of you and supporting all of you to be prepared to go and make those arguments with your friends and colleagues. We need to provide each other with support because the left is tough. You know, they try to drown us out, literally, in the case of Steve Bray. And we have to have resilience and bravery to take on that fight. And the final thing we need to do is communicate with the public about our policies in an effective way. And I think Lee hits the nail on the head here. We need to communicate and show how people's lives will be improved by these policies. Too much time is spent talking about personality issues in the Westminster bubble. That's not what people want to hear. What people want to hear is how are we going to help them make their own lives better? How are we going to help make Britain more successful? How are we going to defend our country? Now, this fight is not going to be easy. The left have been on the march. They've been on the march in our institutions. They've been on the march in our corporate world. They're on the march globally. They are actively organising. But I believe this fight's important because I believe it's only through Conservative values that we will give the people of Britain what they want. I feel it's only through Conservative values that we will ensure the successful future of our nation. And I think the successful future of Britain is vitally important for the successful future of the West. So please join our organisation, get involved. This is just the beginning. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Liz Truss is a very interesting character. She started out as a Liberal Democrat. She even spoke at their conference many years ago. Then she campaigned for the UK to remain part of the European Union, and she made very valid points about how leaving the EU and the single market would be damaging to UK society and the economy. Then, overnight, she became a Brexiteer. She wasn't able to defend Brexit, but she said that she believed in Brexit and Brexit was the correct solution for UK society. It was the best way to go. And now she's a hard right Tory. So it begs the question, what does Liz Truss actually believe? I don't know what she believes. She just seems to be a grifter. She seems to be following the money. She used to be on the left, now she's on the right. And she's even going around the US delivering speeches and receiving a lot of money for that. Now, the US is very important here because I think what the Tories, or this section of the Tories, is trying to do is copy and paste Republican talking points. The playbook, the Republican playbook. She used some of the language here. She mentioned, secret conservatives. This is a bit like the silent majority that the Republicans claim to represent. There are people who are afraid to talk about cutting taxes, or afraid to talk about immigration, or afraid to talk about X, Y, and Z. And we need to empower those people. This is what she's talking about. This is the so-called secret conservatives that she mentioned in this speech. A few other things. Steve Bray. Steve Bray has no power. Steve Bray's not backed by huge corporations. He doesn't have massive donors donating to him. Steve Bray is one guy, or just a few people with some supporters of his who help him lug around some sound equipment. That's all Steve Bray literally is, a guy with a megaphone. He has no power. And he certainly doesn't have the power that Tory MPs and ex-Tory MPs have, and their donors. This is just a straw man. This is attempting to convince the public Steve Bray is the problem. Steve Bray is taking away Liz Truss's platform. The same Liz Truss who goes around the world getting huge amounts of money for talking absolute twaddle. And then finally she talked about her policies. The policies that crash the economy, about deregulation. And of course, if the Tories got their way, or these Tories got their way, they would diverge on EU standards. And of course, drive a wedge between Britain and the rest of Europe. This is about creating a sort of North Korea of Europe. We don't want to have environmental standards. We don't want to have worker protections. We want to go as far away from EU standards as possible, because we want to cut taxes for our donors. We want to cut regulations for the companies that support us. That's what it's about. It's not about small people. It's not even about small businesses. It's about big corporations and big donors making extra money at the expense of Britain. Now, what is their goal? I sort of hinted at it there. It's about cutting taxes and deregulation. But I think it's also about pushing society further to the right, because the Conservatives are not going to be in power over the next number of years. But I think organisations like this are going to try and get a bit of a platform where they're going to attack the Labour government for not being conservative enough. They're going to try and paint a picture of Britain as a conservative or right-wing, or at least centre-right society, and that Labour are out of step with that. They're going to say that we should be cutting more taxes. And you're going to see people like this being, unfortunately, platformed on Sky News, the BBC and others, and given a voice to say how, well, what the NHS needs is more privatisation. What schools need is more privatisation. What the country needs is smaller government and lower taxes on, of course, the ones who produce the hedge fund managers or the bankers or the whoever. This is what they're on about. It's not about helping ordinary people. It's about helping us, the upper echelons of society. They don't care about ordinary people. They never have. But they need to convince ordinary people to vote for policies that help the donors, the big corporations. And unfortunately, unless it's challenged, they're going to get away with it. Completely unhinged, as always, from Liz Truss. She's not popular, but it's not about that. It's about pushing policies. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.